My pitch to the board when it comes to loyalty is really to get them to understand why they're in business. What are they there to do? They're there to get shareholder value. So in order to get that shareholder value, they need to put the customer at the centre of everything. And in order to do that, you need to be giving the customer a value exchange. You need to be dealing with them on their terms. So that's one thing. The second thing is actually the beauty of loyalty is it's all data driven. And so on the back of the data driven activity, you can measure how successful a campaign is being, how successful the loyalty program is being. You can determine for every £1 invested what the return is going to be. At Ikano Insight, we find that on some of our accounts, for every £1 invested, they're getting £6 return. So numbers like that are what you need to be going to the board with. They're the kind of business case numbers for you. In some ways, loyalty has completely changed. You know, if you think about all the different sources of data that we have, there's an abundance of data. We're collecting data from sources that weren't even imaginable 5 years ago, let alone 10, 20 years ago. So, you know, there's a vast abundance of big data out there. There's lots of different new technologies that are allowing us to collect data. But in many ways, and I very strongly believe that loyalty hasn't changed at all. The principles of loyalty have not changed in over 100 years. No, I don't think loyalty is dead. I mean, I hear that all the time. I go out and see lots of people in lots of businesses, and they're always telling me, well, loyalty feels a bit old hat. Well, actually, the next question I ask them is why? Why is that? And they talk to me about plastic cards. They talk to me about points. So I kind of then say, well, is it the points and the plastic card that's dead, or is it loyalty? And actually, we normally agree that it's not loyalty. Actually, loyalty and customer engagement couldn't be more alive at the moment. The fact that you can start collecting customer data at multiple touch points is really important. So the principles of marketing and data-driven marketing and loyalty and customer engagement, call it what you will, have not changed for over 100 years. If you think about two grocers back over 100 years ago, Wait and Rose, or Rose and Wait, you know, it sounds familiar, doesn't it? Waitrose, massive grocer these days. They've been around for over 100 years, but the principle of engagement and loyalty have not changed. You know, people used to go into a local store, the person in the shop would know them, they'd be on personal terms, they'd know what products they want, they know what they like, they know what the next best product to sell them is. So the principles hasn't changed. So back then, they would greet the customers, that was the original welcome program. Welcome to the store, how can I help you? Mr. Smith, let me get your usual. And so that has been happening 100 years ago, and that's what loyalty and engagement are trying to do now. So what's actually changed, so why people think loyalty is dead is because there's been a massive influx of digital media, digital channels, and doing things differently. But in actual fact, all of these channels they're just noise. Actually, they're just the tools to make it happen. So principally, you know, you still want your customers to come and engage with your brand. You're still wanting to try and change their behaviours or keep them doing what they're doing. So it's actually about that spend more often, stop them leaving. It's bringing them back to those three things. So I think the key principles of loyalty to me are really about how your customers are engaging with your brand. So it's about getting the customers excited enough to want to come back and keep using your products or services or coming into your stores or going online. So it's actually how can we get our customers to become loyal, then become advocates, and then to become super fans of your products. With more and more data in the world nowadays, data-driven marketing is becoming really important. So there's so many more opportunities to collect data. If you think about your customers and the opportunities that they have to leave a footprint with you and your brand, so that could be on-premise, it could be online, it could be on a device, it could be across multiple devices. So the opportunity to collect data has become increasingly massive, but it's not necessarily about collecting the data, it's actually making sure you're collecting the right data. So once you've collected the right data, and that could be simple things like how much they've spent with you, how often they spend, what types of brands they're using, what channels they're using. It's actually what you do with that data now. So, you know, companies like Ikano Insight, for example, we will take that data and we'll build models that will allow you to try and understand what you need to get your customer to do next. So, for example, if you've got a highly engaged, highly valuable customer, they're your most loyal customers, so you want to protect and defend them. You want to stop them going elsewhere. Although you might have a highly valuable customer that's low engaged, so they're not necessarily coming and spending that often with you. They might have just bought once from you. So what we need to do is start determining what you need them to do next. So getting your customers to spend more often, and stop them leaving. And it's the data that allows you to be able to do that in terms of data-driven marketing.